So let's generate our motivation and really come back to our hearts of compassion, because when we really look at it, what's in the depth of our hearts, what kind of people do we want to be? We want to be loving and kind and compassionate people. So let's come back to that very strong wish to be that kind of person that we really have. We have that strong aspiration in our hearts. And so certainly afflictions arise and all sorts of different moods and thoughts come into our mind that are opposite of that loving, compassionate thought. But it's very helpful when those thoughts and feelings come into our mind that we remember that they are not who we are. They are not an inherent part of us. And that really in the depths of our hearts, the kind of person that we want to be is somebody who is very open-hearted, kind, who reaches out and helps others. So rather than follow those afflicted thoughts, it's very helpful, keep coming back to that motivation that rings really true in our own hearts. And recognize that that is what's true, and all this nonsense of jealousy and resentment and so on, those things are not true. And they're not actually important either, because they're just made up hallucinations of our mind. And so when we come back to that kindness and compassion that's there in our heart, remember the kind of person we want to be. And then remember that we're listening to the teachings and practicing the Dharma so that we can really further develop that motivation, make it firm and stable, and use it to motivate us to realize emptiness, so that then we will be able to eliminate all these ridiculous emotions and thoughts from our mind and really be of great benefit to all the sentient beings who have all been kind to us, are being kind to us, and will be kind to us. Okay, so, every morning when we wake up, we should come back to that motivation, because that's really what's in our hearts, isn't it? I mean, what kind of person do you want to be? You want to be a nasty, deceptive, belligerent person who stirs up problems? No, none of us want to be like that. We want to be kind-hearted, yeah? We want to reach out to other people. We want to be able to, tune into where other people are at and really be of great benefit from them. And that's what we really want. So it's really helpful, every morning when we wake up and periodically throughout the day to remind ourselves that that's what is really in our hearts and that what is really our motivation. And then when other thoughts come in our mind, oh, so-and-so's talking about me. Oh, so-and-so got to do this and I didn't get to do that. I want this and they're not giving it to me. When these kind of thoughts come in our mind, to say, hey, You don't agree with what's really in my heart. And especially after studying Lamrim, especially after studying this text, you know, if you review the first 8 chapters, yeah, then we see that all those kind of thoughts, like I said, they're just hallucinations. They're not based on anything real. Yeah? Oh, I want this kind of food. Nobody's getting me this kind of food. So I'm going to die. Do you think Aryadeva is going to agree with that?
There's a refutation in there somewhere.
Yeah, right. There's definitely a refutation in there. You know, when you think, what did he spend the first 4 chapters about? You know, things are impermanent. Things that we think are the source of happiness are actually by nature by nature dukkha. Yeah, the body that we think is so clean and pure is literally shit. That time I can say it and not have to apologize. And, you know, this ego that we think is so fantastic is just something made up. Just made up. Yeah? And so, you know, when these thoughts and feelings come in our mind that make our mind so disturbed, that's why they're called afflictions. They afflict our mind. They make our mind sick, like, you know, you're afflicted. You know, we're afflicted with misery when these thoughts and emotions come in. And to be able to identify them and say, but you're a totally wrong thought. You're a totally ridiculous emotion. There's no valid basis for feeling that way. Yeah? Because, you know, when we really look, when we really use our Dharma practice to look, what's the valid basis? You know? We can sit in our meditation session hour and after hour, and we do. I know I've done. You know, they did this, and then they did that, and the whole world treats me like this. And we have our whole list of reasons. You know, we're making perfect syllogisms. Yeah, I am incompetent because so-and-so gave me a dirty look. Yeah, then check that syllogism out. Is that a correct syllogism? If somebody gives you a dirty look, does that mean you're incompetent?
No.
No. Okay, so it doesn't have pervasion in that syllogism. So you throw it out. You know, you don't sit there and mull over it again and again. Yeah, they gave me a dirty look, therefore they think I'm incompetent. Not only did they give me a dirty look, but they, you know, when they were carrying their bowl back to the table, they dropped a piece of spaghetti on me. I know that was meant as an insult. I just know. They kept that piece of spaghetti so it was dangling over the side of their bowl, and right when they walked past me, they knocked. I know. And they think, so, you know, I'm incompetent because they don't like me. Oh. Yeah? I mean, we can do a whole meditation session on that syllogism, can't we? Yeah? And go over it and over and over it again without asking ourselves, is there any agreement between the reason and the subject? And if it's the reason, does it pervade that, you know, isn't necessarily the predicate? We don't, you know, we need to look at our syllogisms and see if they're good ones or not. And most of these emotional syllogisms are just rubbish. Yeah? And meanwhile, you know, this goodness we have in our heart that wants to be kind and open and loving and tolerant, you know, it gets completely hijacked by these ridiculous emotions. Yeah? If I don't have this kind of cheese and these kind of nuts, I'm going to die of protein deficiency. And then everybody at the Abbey will feel guilty. And then they'll really know how awful they treated me when I'm lying there dead for protein insufficiency. Yeah? We do a whole drama on that in our meditation, don't we? Yeah? They don't love me. Nobody cares about me. I can tell that. Because when the food offering came, it didn't have the kind of cheese I want. And even though they have the kind of nuts I want in the cupboard, the cook doesn't put them out. And I need them. I need them. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh. Yeah. So this is like our mind, isn't it? You know, it's like. Was Sarah in vaudeville? What is vaudeville? I mean, she was in the early movies. She was in the silent movies. Okay. Yeah.
And you know, the silence really needed. Yeah.
Yes.
Because they weren't talking, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, but like, what do we really want to be like inside of our hearts? Yeah? Do we want to go through our life like, they're talking behind my back? She's talking behind my back too. And I know those two, yeah. Whenever they talk to each other, they're talking about me. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Because she thinks I don't treat my tree well enough.
Well, you don't. That was what my tree was whispering to me.
Okay, that's what she told you. Oh, then my cat doesn't even love me. Oh dear, I'm really a disaster now. But then she's lying. I can't even trust my cat when she purrs.
She's lying. She's lying on the chair.
No, when she purrs, she's pretending to like me. And she's just these two mental factors, pretension and guile. I never thought I'd see them in a cat. But for sure, that's what she doesn't even. My cat doesn't like me. You want my tree and I'll take one of the other ones? Actually, I shouldn't call her my cat because she isn't my cat.
She doesn't know that.
Yeah, she does. So, yeah, so you see what I mean? Yeah? So we have to really come back to what kind of person do I want to be? Yeah? Do I really need to sit down, yeah, with Venerable Sultram and discuss for 3 hours this thing about Maitri, you know? It's like, yeah, what...
I'll send you an email.
You know, she doesn't take Maitri out for a walk. I was encouraging her to take Maitri out for a walk. She won't do it. Yeah, can you imagine? Isn't that awful? That's rebellious. She doesn't like me. She and Maitri get together and talk behind my back. And then she won't even take Maitri out for a walk. I think we need a special NVC session about this, Venerable Sultram. Yeah. I think we need 3 or 4 mediators because I can't speak openly to you, and we've got to work this issue out. I mean, I just can't stand living in this community anymore unless, you know, I understand why you will not take my tree for a walk. I really can't understand that.
She's great.
What?
She's great.
Now, what kind of reason is that?
What's me?
Cat racism, furrism. It's furrism. Oh, now I think we really need to call the Civil Liberties Union about this. This is very unfair because, you know, she's insulting my tree, so then she's insulting me. She called my cat gray. Can you imagine? She called my cat gray. We really need to sit down and talk about this, Venerable Soldier.
Is nobody going to ask?
You know.
Oh, you cat.
Okay.
So what color a cat is?
She's white. Don't you see? She has some white here and some white here. And part of her face. I can't remember what
Down
side.
here too.
Yeah.
She's great.
Okay, well, will you be the mediator? Maybe, will you be the mediator? We need to, you know, we need a few people to sit in because I don't trust Venerable Sultram enough to talk about this alone with her. Because do you know what she'll do? She'll just keep on saying those kinds of things. You know, she'll keep calling my cat gray.
Hurt my itty bitty feelings.
Well, I don't care. You just go off and cry.
No.
See, she never does what I say.
She might be deaf.
Oh, yeah. That must be it. That must be it. Okay. So, okay, so let's see if we can come back. But I was thinking, you know, because we've been talking about the object of negation, yeah, in our emptiness meditation. Okay, so, you know, we were talking about the object of negation in the emptiness meditation and somehow how it's, you know, it can be really difficult to recognize. Okay, so when your mind gets into one of those moods that is the opposite of your deepest heartfelt motivation, look at that time how the I appears to exist to you. Yeah. She insulted my cat. You know, I'm furious. You know, how does the I appear at that time? What's the feeling of the I? What kind of I does that feel like at that time? Yeah. Does it feel like an I that depends on a cause? Does it feel like an I that is merely designated? Heavens no. Yeah. Does it feel like an I that depends on parts or anything else? No, it is there, independent, standing on its own 2 feet. Okay? And so then, you know, you look at that and you have that feeling, you know, if this doesn't exist, You know, the I that I feel exists when I think people are talking about me behind my back. You know, if that doesn't exist, then what does exist? You know, like that feeling is so real of I, me, you know? And then you say, okay, if, you have to do this very subtly, you know, if I exist in that way, then, you know, the I should be findable in the aggregates or separate from the aggregates. Yeah. So there's me. I am furious because she insulted my cat. You know? So what is that I that's furious? Yeah? Is it my body? Yeah? Is it your body? Is it somewhere in your body? Is it something physical that you can identify? It feels like it's in here, doesn't it? It's somewhere in here. Sometimes it feels like it's, but once in a while it's up here. But mostly it's when you're really furious, it's in here, isn't it? You're not furious up here. You're furious here, okay? So it feels like I'm in there. So then you look, yeah? You mentally, yeah, look inside your body. And is there a person there? Yeah, when you look inside your body, it's like, I'm there somewhere. Okay, well, there's lungs. There's a heart. There's sternum and ribs. Yeah, in the back there's a spine. What else is there? Is your mesentery there? Huh? What? Muscles. Oh yeah, the muscles under there. Yeah, your stomach is kind of high. It's in here. Yeah. So is that, am I any of those things? Yeah. It feels like, you know, I'm somewhere in here. But where exactly, you know, am I my lungs? If I put my lungs out there on the table, are you going to say, there's children? I think you'd run away screaming, it's so ugly. Yeah? So really, is there a person, a findable person? It feels like you can grab it, but what is it? What are you going to grab that's there? Yeah, your sternum, and say, now I know who I am. Look at the sternum. Yeah. So, you know, it's hard to find in our body, even though it feels like we're there. Then, okay, am I my mind? Yes, I think, therefore I am. Then which thought are you? I'm the fury that's so ticked off at Venerable Zocho for calling my cat gray. And then saying it's not even my cat, even though what she said was right. Doesn't matter that she's right. I'm always right, and I'm going to win this argument. You know. Okay, so what consciousness is that?
A wrong consciousness.
It is a wrong consciousness, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, so that's a mental consciousness. It's a mental consciousness. Yeah? But there's a whole lot of different mental consciousnesses. Am I that mental consciousness that is furious because she called my cat gray? Is that who I am? Yeah, then I would have a very short life, wouldn't I? Because how long does that thought last?
Hopefully not too long.
Huh?
Hopefully not too long.
Yeah. Well, even if you tried to make it last long, it wouldn't. Yeah. I had a friend who was a hospice nurse, and so she's seen people in all sorts of emotional states. And she says, even if you try to hold an emotion, you can't do it for more than 45 minutes straight. Yeah, I think even that's too long. You know, you have to go off. You know, your mind gets distracted to something else. Yeah, some other, new catastrophe. Yeah, but am I that mental consciousness? Am I that fury? That's who I am. Well, if that's who I am, then I'm always angry. She's bugging you too, right? So you're on my side. Yeah, we'll be pals against her.
I bugged her.
Oh, you bugged her?
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, let things go.
Yeah, but you bug her because she's not nice. So even though you bugged her, it's still her fault. Okay, so, am I this mental consciousness? Am I this fury inside me that wants to clobber somebody?
Oh, believe me.
No, when I get that mad, I don't have to clobber you. I'll clobber anybody.
Okay, see?
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? When we get really mad, we don't care about that particular person. We'll take it out on anybody who happens to be standing there. Yeah? Okay, is that who I am? No. Yeah, I mean, that emotion certainly doesn't stay there for too long. And even if it did, yeah, if I said that, even if that was there for, let's say, 10 minutes, if I were that emotion, then when I said, I'm going to go clobber you, it means my mind was going to go clobber you. Can my mind clobber anybody? No, your body has to do it, doesn't it? Yeah, your mind can't clobber anybody. Or you get so tired, I'm going to go get a drink of water. Yeah, that means that your fury is going to get a drink of water. If you are inherently one with that furious mind, then whenever you say the word I, it refers to that mind. So I'm going to get a drink of water means the furious mind is going to get a drink of water. The furious mind is walking. Can a mental consciousness walk?
Not without a body.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can't be that, our mental consciousness, that furious one or any other one. Okay, so you really look and see, try and find it. Because if there were this truly existent person that feels so real, we should be able to figure out exactly what it is. And when I say, so that's one way, the furious one, yeah. Or if I'm saying she insulted me, who's the me that she insulted? Is it my body? Is it my mind? She insulted me. She hurt my feelings. She hurt me. Yeah. So who's the me that got hurt? Who's the one that's the object of the insult? Yeah?
Feels like the whole. Feels like everything.
Yeah, we say everything. But the insult's specific, She's going to look at me and say, you have brown eyes.
Well, that's me.
Yeah. Because Everything you say is mean, because I know you already.
All right.
Yeah, okay. So she said, you have brown eyes. Then all of a sudden, my feelings are so hurt. I've been insulted. I have brown eyes. Am I my brown eyes? Yeah? Am I that she insulted me by saying I had brown eyes. That means I must be brown eyes. That means when I say, I feel so hurt, it means my eyes feel hurt. My eyes were insulted. See, that's why they're crying.
Oh, such power.
Okay? So you look, you examine, you know? They're talking behind my back. That's a good one. The I comes up very strongly there, doesn't it? They're talking behind my back. I know it. Oh, it's the Buddha. Yeah, he's been trying to talk to me, but I'm not listening very well. He is talking behind my back. He's saying, calm down. No! Okay, they're talking behind my back. So who's the me that they're talking about? Who's the me? Who's that me? Yeah. Feels like it's somewhere in here, doesn't it? Yeah, somewhere in there. But you mentally cut it open. Yeah, there's no you there.
And the sensation can't be it either.
And the sensation, yeah. You say, oh, the sensation is me. But how is a sensation a person? A sensation isn't a person. Or we get the thought, I. But the thought I is not a person. A thought is not a person, is it? So the thought I is not me. Okay? So this is very interesting. You know, this is how you really notice the object of negation and how you start looking for it. And then you begin to see how those emotions are built up on a hallucination. Because if you can't find the I that's being insulted, why do you feel so bad about it being insulted? If there is no I that is the object of the insult, then why are we so upset? Okay. But you see, our emotions are not very logical. It's like, well, I'm going to be upset if I want to be. And I have plenty of good reasons, except none of those reasons hold when we really examine them. Yeah? So this is why His Holiness Dalai Lama really, you know, emphasizes to us to use reasoning, to use our human intelligence, to investigate these thoughts and the kind of assumptions that they're based on, to see if they're accurate or not. Yeah? And if we do, and we find that these thoughts are not accurate, that is so liberating. Then I don't need to hate her anymore for saying, my cat is gray and I have brown eyes. I'm relieved of that anger because her insult was directed at nothing. I can't find a person there, an independent person there. The I does not exist independently like that. Yeah, so the insult, what in the world was she insulting? Yeah, there's no, the I exists, but not this concrete thing that I think it is. So then I'm free of anger. Isn't that a relief? Yeah.
Now you tell me I'm wasting my time.
You're not wasting your time. You're being Atisha's cook.
You're welcome.
Remember Atisha's cook? Yeah. So. Okay, but you see how we started to investigate, and then you can begin to see how understanding emptiness can be very liberating. Yeah, and can free us from a lot of these hallucinated thoughts that we're believing in. Okay, yeah.
I found the question, what are you afraid of?
Uh-huh.
Really helpful. But I had to go sit with it, and I actually felt sick through the session and afterwards because the fear was so real, right? But I couldn't find it. One reason after another, and it came down to I'm afraid of my own mind fundamentally. And I was like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Then it was like, oh, okay, released. Yeah, but that whole evening was like,
Yeah.
it was so strange.
Yeah. Yeah, because she came to me and, with a lot of fear. I said, what are you afraid of? Yeah. It was very interesting when you try and find, what are you afraid of? Let alone who is it that's afraid? Yeah. But you begin to really see how the thoughts are all tangled up and so completely illogical. Yeah, that when you start to untangle them and you see it's just this big illogical mess there, then you can go kerplunk. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a lot of like overtly negative things going through my mind to work on in that regard a lot.
Oh, we can fix that.
If you would be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, be patient. Yeah, stick around. Venerable Sultram and I will give you something to think about. Won't we?
So when I sit down to look at things, it's like I have to use things that appear to give me some form of pleasure to try to use them.
Yes.
And I don't have a lot of energy to really dig deep and dismantle them and figure out,
Oh, the things that you find pleasurable. Yeah, yeah, because the eye that's seeking the pleasure is just as good of, to examine what that is. But you're saying you get very distracted by, that eye that wants pleasure, because it's hard to stay focused on asking who's that eye because you're already daydreaming about the pleasure.
It feels like I have to have some kind of desire to really want to do that. Even if I'm not thinking about the pleasure, I have to have that negativity to want to get rid of it. And I don't see the positive all the time as being...
You don't have the negativity that wants to get rid of the attachment.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
So when attachment comes, you just,
oh yeah.
it's fine, right?
It's good food, or it's chocolate, or something that I really
Yeah.
like to do, and I don't have a lot of desire to look at that and say, hey, where's the I? And that
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not causing you enough suffering.
Yes.
Yeah. It will. Yeah. When you really begin to see, when that craving arises, how restless the mind becomes.
Constantly dissatisfied.
And especially if
Yeah.
it stops getting met, because sooner or later it's not going to get met.
Yeah, it's not going to get met. Oh, see, already he looks unhappy. We didn't give him the answer he wants to hear. See, it's working. Okay.
It is harder to look at attachment.
It is. It's much
And
harder
they
to look
have
at
a real
attachment.
Uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. Right, because we don't have so much impetus to get rid of the attachment. It doesn't feel so painful. But what you can do with attachment is, if attachments come, whatever the object of your attachment, the person or the thing, then try and analyze what that person or thing is. Yeah, attachments coming up for your old girlfriend. Now, who in the world is she? Who is that person? Or attachment is coming up for chocolate. What exactly am I attached to? The cocoa powder? You ever tasted cocoa powder alone? Ugh. The sugar? Getting closer, but the sugar isn't the chocolate. Because if the sugar is in something else, it's not as good as the chocolate. Yeah. The texture? Yeah, the texture is kind of nice. Melts in your mouth and not in your hand, but it does melt in your hand. Does melt in your hand. The texture, but you can have that texture in other things too.
And it's not chocolate.
Yeah, toothpaste has that texture.
But you know, chocolate is imbued with things because it has a culture all its own. Like it's a reward, it's a treat, it's on the holidays. It's got a lot of baggage.
Oh, yeah, okay. So chocolate has special meaning. It means people love me. It means it's a holiday. It means it's a reward. It means what? What else? Huh? Happiness, yeah. Satisfaction. Yeah. So then you look in that piece of chocolate, and where is the happiness? Where is the reward? Where's the love? Yeah. And what is this piece of chocolate? Yeah, cocoa powder, milk, all sorts of fat that's not good for you, but we'll forget about that. All sorts of sugar that's also not good for you, and we'll forget about that one too. Okay? That leaves just the cocoa powder. And cocoa powder alone tastes awful. It's very bitter. I don't know how they ever invented chocolate. Yeah, I heard it was nuns that invented it.
There's sugar in it.
Yeah,
You heard it was nuns?
somewhere I heard. I don't know. We'll go look it up on Wikipedia. Okay, but you investigate exactly what is the chocolate.
So you kind of stay with the emptiness of that object and not try to relate it back to looking for a person?
Well, start with the object, yeah, but then look at the person who's so attached to that object afterwards.
I haven't been able to find like a feeling that comes up when looking for that person. So
Okay, like I said, don't worry, we'll fix that.
Red cat. Red.
Oh, she's white.
Red.
Okay, she's gray, but what do you have against gray cats?
No,
Then stop insulting her.
I didn't insult her.
Oh, yes, you did, I know.
I just said I didn't
stand
think
to
her
watch
off.
this anymore.
Then go run down the hill.
Take my tree for a walk with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, take my tree for a walk. Yeah. Then, now you'll find out what you're afraid of. Okay, so let's see, what verse were we on here? Okay, 359. Okay, we have 15 minutes left. So, okay, but this is a very good way to make this topic applicable. Okay? So a present thing does not come into existence from itself, nor come into existence from the future, and also not from the past. Okay? So this is refuting it as being truly existent by examining the 3 times. Okay? So since there is no inherent arising in any of the three times, arising doesn't exist inherently. Okay? So since cause and effect are not simultaneous, a present thing does not arise from its present. Okay? So the cause and effect are not simultaneous. So if the cause is there, the effect is not there. But if the effect is there, and the effect is present, it can't arise from its present because it's already arisen. Okay, so the present thing doesn't arise from its present. If it doesn't arise from the future, because the future doesn't yet exist, and inherently existent things must have their own entity, they must exist right now. So it can't arise from its future because the future doesn't exist inherently. It can't arise from the past because the past is over and done with. So when does the sprout arise? Not in the present, not in the future, not in the past. So there's no inherently existent sprout. Okay? For a sprout that is merely designated, that's okay. You don't have to find the sprout that is arising because it exists by mere designation. But if it inherently existed, then it should be there, the sprout that's arising. Okay? But something that's already there cannot arise because it's arisen. Okay? So there's a sutra statement that says, so there's no inherent arising in any of the three times. So as arising is false. It's like an illusion. And when you really think about it, you think about something coming into existence, it really is kind of like magic. Yeah? It really is like an illusion. How does that seed, which doesn't look anything like the sprout, even if there's little, chromosomes or genes or whatever that has some similarity, how does that sprout arise from that seed? Yeah? It's not inside the seed. It doesn't exist before it becomes the sprout. So what is it that is arising? What is being produced here? What is it that's coming into existence? Because there's nothing in the cause that is the result. When you really think about it, it really is like magic. Yeah? Okay, so it's like an illusion. It appears like, okay, the sprout arose, here it is, always has been, always will be. But when you really look at that process of how did it arise, you can't really find the thing that arose, and you can't find the exact time of its arising either. Yeah? Because you sit there and you imagine, there's that little seed, and you imagine all the things that go on, inside the seed before anything shows on the outside. There's already so much change inside the seed before you see anything on the outside. And then the seed begins to open. Okay? Is that the sprout? Then you see some tiny little thing come out. Is that a sprout? And you slow it down in slow motion, moment by moment, this tiny thing that kind of comes out and grows and curls or whatever. At what point is that a sprout? Yeah, can you identify at what point it specifically became a sprout? So that this moment it was a seed, and the next moment it's a sprout. And if all of us sat down and looked at that, we might all find different times where we label sprout. Yeah? And none of those times are exactly going to agree. So when did this sprout arise?
When you designated it.
Yeah. Huh?
When you designate it. It's gotta be that.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we all agree on a designation. Yeah?
Oh?
Well, most of us.
Yeah, what if only 6 of you did and there's 7 of you?
Yeah, then too bad.
Is it still a sprout?
Yeah, then that's what you go to court over. Oh, seriously, that's what you go to court over.
Research it.
The label.
By the time you agree, it's not even going to be a sprout anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why sometimes these court cases are so ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. So there's a sutra that says when the eye arises, it doesn't come from anywhere. The eye, like the eyeball. Yeah, when it arises, it doesn't come from anywhere. When it ceases, it doesn't go anywhere. Okay? So if there were inherent arising, a thing should come from somewhere when it arises, and it should go somewhere when it ceases. Like the sun comes from somewhere when it arises, and the sun goes somewhere when it sets. So if there were inherently existent arising, you know, this sprout should come from somewhere. So where's it going to come from? Because it's not inside that seed. And where is it going to go when it ceases? Yeah. But you see, if something were inherently existent, if it had its own entity, yeah, then it doesn't depend on anything else, so it's always going to be there. Yeah? So it shouldn't even have to come from somewhere. Or if it did, you should find out it should be there in full living color before it arose. Yeah? And none of that, it makes any sense at all. Okay? So if the sprout, or take our future life, you know, where does our or this life, where did this life come from? Yeah? What is this life? Is it your body? Is it your mind? When did this life start? Yeah? The person of this life, yeah, we say started when you have the union of the sperm and the egg and the mind stream. Okay? So where was that person the moment before that happened? If that person truly existed, there should be a person there. That's the person that arose when those two came together. But there was absolutely no person there before those three came together. And it's a court case about when there is a person there, isn't it? And there's a whole lot of passion about when you label person. Okay? And people get killed depending upon when they label person. Yeah? Yeah.
That sutra, to me, it seems to contradict cause and effect. I mean, something has to arise from a cause.
Right. But that's the sutra said, when the eye arises, it doesn't come from anywhere.
Right, that seems to contradict cause and effect.
No, but it's saying that within the cause there is not the I. Yeah, it's us asking us to look for an inherently existent eyeball. Yeah, it's not talking in conventional terms. It's talking about, an inherent, something that is an eyeball that has the capacity to see. Where did it come from?
All the components that come together that make an eyeball. There's gotta be an eye
But
in all those components if it's inherent existent.
Yeah. Okay. And when the eyeball ceases, where does it go? If it was so real when it was there, when it ceases, where did the eyeball go? Like when the corpse is there and the eye starts to disintegrate and it becomes all these different like bits of stuff. Where did the eye go? Yeah. It's very interesting, when you're eating lunch. Okay, like yesterday we had lasagna. It was very good, by the way. And yeah, so there's the lasagna. It looks like real lasagna, doesn't it? There is lasagna. Okay, so you put it in your mouth and you start chewing. Where did the lasagna go? Does the lasagna still exist? Yeah, after you chew it, even it's still in your mouth. Would you call that lasagna? Well, you might say I'm eating lasagna. But then if you took it out of your mouth to show somebody the lasagna you were eating, would you call it lasagna when it's out of your mouth?
No, you probably call it a mess.
Yeah. So where did that lasagna go? Yeah. When that lasagna was there, it looked so real, didn't it? And it had goodness inside of it and happiness inside of it. But after 30 seconds, where was it? Where did that lasagna go? It totally vanished. So if it could vanish so quickly, where was it to start with? Where was the lasagna before you put it in your mouth? Yeah?
In the box.
But if you look in the box, there's the noodles, yeah, some packet. You still have to get the cheese out of the refrigerator. Yeah? Would you call that lasagna? Somebody put a box inside your bowl. Here's lunch today. It's lasagna. Yum. This cardboard's great. Yeah. Okay. So it's very interesting, things that seem so real. And that thing about watching when you're eating, it disappeared so quickly. So where did it go? Where did it go? Yeah?
I've been trying to find the moment where it becomes dirty, the bowl becomes dirty.
Yes.
It's like, it's food, right? But
Yeah.
at some point it's like, oh, it's a dirty bowl.
Right. It's very interesting to look at the relationship between the hand and the food. Does the hand make the food dirty? According to the health department, it does. That's why we have to wash our hands and wear gloves, because the hand makes the food dirty. But if we were to stick our fingers in the pot and lift some food out, then we would say, my hand is dirty.
Then you gotta wash it.
Yeah, we have to go wash our hand. Yeah. So does the hand make the food dirty, or does the food make the hand dirty?
What happens when you're eating a piece of bread? If you're using your hands to eat the piece of bread, it's not dirty then, is it?
Well, it depends. If you were playing out in the garden, yeah.
And I don't think you eat a piece of bread after I handled it, Venerable Silton. If somebody handed that piece of food, you know, put their hands on it and they gave it to you.
Oh, I mean, if I'm eating it, you know, I got it in my hand.
Yeah,
and I'm
because
eating it.
you
Your
see,
body's clean.
yeah, you think you know, when we eat it, my body's clean, so I can handle it and eat it, that's okay. But if somebody else handles it and gives it to me, it's like, then it's dirty. Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it? How we look at these things. Okay, so we got to finish one verse, okay? So, yeah, so the idea is we have to really accept that these things are like illusions, you know, because we can't find where they come from and we can't find when they go, where they go. And this is especially good to watch when you have a strong thought or a strong emotion, you know. Because we'll say, where did that thought come from? And then we'll get lost in some psychology. In my childhood, this happened and that happened. And then I heard this sound and it reminded me of the trauma in my childhood. And then my body this. And that's how this whole thought arose. Okay? We're not, when we say, where did that thought come from? We're not looking at it that way. We're looking at, there's this thought that seems so real. Where was that thought before I thought it? Where did that thought come from? And when I start thinking about something else, where did that thought go to? Because when it's there, it feels really real, doesn't it? You know, if it's a thought about me or mine or, okay. So very interesting to look at that. Okay, let's do 2 verses. So there is no coming of the produced, likewise no going of that which has ceased. Since it is thus, why should existence not be like a magician's illusion? Okay, so this is the summarized meaning. Things don't come from anywhere when they arise or go anywhere when they cease. So why shouldn't they be like illusions? When dependent arising is seen as it is, it's like a created illusion. Yeah, it's not like a rabbit's horn. Okay?
Say that again.
Okay, so when dependent arising is seen as it is, okay, something is arising, it's like a created illusion. And I was saying it's kind of like magic that this thing appears. So it's like a created illusion, but it's not like a rabbit's horn. Because a rabbit's horn is totally non-existent. An illusion exists. Okay, the illusion exists, but it doesn't exist as it appears. Okay? So that's why we say it exists like an illusion, but not like a rabbit's horn. Okay? So dependent arising things are not non-existent. Okay? So Chandrakirti's commentary on Aryadeva's 400 says that if we negate mere arising, then mere arising would be non-existent like a rabbit's horn. And we can't negate mere arising because we see that things arise and they exist. Okay? So we have to be very clear here. The object of negation is inherent existent arising. It's not arising. Okay? So the inability to assert arising in one's own system and putting hope in a system that claims arising neither exists nor doesn't exist destroys the Madhyamaka view. Such a view creates the cause for unfortunate rebirths and should be discarded like a glob of spit. Okay? That's what Gyaltsabje said, you know? Okay, so then Tsongkhapa says, an ocean of reasoning, yeah, he says, you should ascertain as determined by reasoning that arising, duration, and disintegration could none of them be posited if they existed by their own entity. And their existence was not merely posited through the force of convention. So if they existed by their own entity, from their own side, and not through the force of convention, yeah, you have to determine that it's impossible that things exist that way. Okay? So it's interesting how he's putting both here. You not only determine that they don't exist by way of their own entity, but you do have to determine that they do exist by being merely posited by the force of convention. Yeah? So this is coming back to that whole thing of you have to bring emptiness and dependent arising together to have the complete view, the correct view. The correct view is not just negating inherent existence, it's also being able to assert conventional existence, which is the only kind of existence there is, despite things being empty. And this was what Jeffrey was talking about last time, about how difficult that is.
Say that again.
Okay? When something is empty, we have to not just we're not just negating inherent existence, but to have the correct view, we have to be able to also posit existence. While we're negating inherent existence, we have to be able to posit existence. Existence meaning dependent existence, conventional existence. Okay? And you have to be able to do both of those to have the correct view. Yeah? When we chant the three principal aspects of the path, yeah, focus on those words, those verses on emptiness. They're really quite profound.
Without going to the two extremes.
Yeah. And to still be able to posit it after you've negated the true existence. Okay? So then Tsongkhapa says, so after you've been able to do that, then you should train yourself to see that what is posited through the force of convention is perfectly feasible, and that the appearance of all products as diverse entities, even though they are empty of existence by their own entity, is like a magician's illusions and like dreams. That is J. Rinpoche. Okay? So in the term dependent arising, you actually have both parts that we need to realize. Dependent confirms the absence of independent or inherent existence. If it's dependent, it can't be independent, the existing or inherently existent. Arising means it does exist. So saying it's dependent refutes the extreme of absolutism, eternalism, permanence, whatever you want to call it, and arising refutes the extreme of non-existence. So that's why they say dependent arising is the queen of reasonings. Yeah? Because it does both things. It negates inherent existence, but establishes regular existence, conventional existence. Okay? So then we'll continue on 361 next time. we will finish this.
Someday.
And Bola, you left us last week with those questions of where does something come from and where does it go? And
Yeah.
I was thinking about the where does it go is astonishing, actually.
Uh-huh.
To just try to take apart everything just in the field of vision, right? I don't know, I mean, we've talked a lot about arising, but somehow the where does it go part has not ever been a part of my
Yeah.
vision before. And
Okay.
It's a little stunning.
So what
But
was
you can't
stunning
find it
for you?
Because I think the thing that's different about it is arising, you can sort of see something coming together, blah, 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 blah. But if I'm taking something that looks like it's truly existing right in front of my face,
Right.
I've been looking at the altar cloth a lot. So just imagining it completely rotting into bits, it's 300-year-old altar cloth. Where is where is it going?
Yeah.
Nowhere. So
Yeah.
that's the part that's astonishing,
Yeah.
I think, is taking something that's
Uh-huh.
so vividly appearing as
Like
it is.
it's the lasagna.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just to say how helpful
Where, yeah,
the questioning was.
it is. And the same is very helpful to go, to look with people too. A person is there one day and then they're not there the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did they go? Yeah. Or the piece of wood is there one day, we put it in the furnace, it's not there the next day. Where did that piece of good wood go? Yeah, that piece of wood is not the ash. Yeah, where did that go? Because it was so real before. Hmm? And if you think one day this whole abbey that we put so much energy into building, if we could project ourselves and look, where did it go? Which makes you ask, where is it right now? Because it feels so real right now, doesn't it? So real. If what I see with my eyes doesn't exist, then what does? Yeah? Don't you feel that way when you look? If the people I look at, the room I'm in, if everything, these things exist. They're solid. And yet when we just start to ask, well, where did they come from? And where did they go? It's like, and then you have to say, well, where are they right now?
That's your Satantrika question.
Huh?
That's the answer to your Satantrika question. That Jeffrey said, you asked that one, like, what are these things? They're all these characteristics and all these parts and all these things, and we think they're just there. This is like,
Yeah. It's a thing from its own side.
all this and that, and
Yeah.
that's really real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It seems so real to us, doesn't it? And yet, just a little bit of reasoning, just even a little bit, even we can't see the emptiness, just a little bit, we can begin to see it can't exist the way it's appearing to me. Yeah? It really can't. This appears as one object, but it's not one object. Yeah? It's many objects. Then what makes all those parts stick together to make one object? You'll give some atomic theory, But still, it's like, okay, I have this and I have this, but I can detach them. So are they one object or are they two objects?
I like the thing with that you did in this text about the characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
How can the black be separate from the form.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, wow, how can it?
yeah. Or how can even impermanence, the characteristic of impermanence, how can it be separate from this thing? Yeah? You know, this thing, the computer, is not the characteristic of impermanence, but it's not separate from it either. Yeah? So,
And equally scary is you do a little bit, you see that, and then you have a distracted thought and it's all gone.
yes. Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. It's like you were really getting it, and then chocolate passed through the mind. And that thought was gone, and then chocolate goes too. That thought of chocolate goes. Where did it go to?
Well, it started in 1850. Cocoa butter, hot water, cocoa powder, and sugar. The first solid chocolate was born.
In when? From where?
1850s.
1850.
In English, in England.
In
Then
England.
Nestle's was hot on his trail, 1875, and then the Swiss and their Lindt chocolate in 1879.
But I thought it all came from South
Well,
America.
that's the history of cocoa. It came way back from Mexico, actually, and then South
They
America.
were drinking it.
They were drinking it, was buried with the kings in the tombs. It was considered to be marriage rituals where they drank it and stuff. But that's where chocolate, as we know it,
Came from.
attached to it, comes from 1850.
So Nestle was an Englishman. And who was the first guy?
Well, the first one was an Englishman, Joseph Fry, and then Henri Nestle and Daniel Peter. Sounds like Dutch or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no nuns.
Huh?
No nuns. No nuns.
I had read somewhere, but you see, another
You're
make-believe.
talking about where a thought comes from, you know, where it goes. And I often wonder if there's no storehouse of consciousness, where's that memory? There's this vast amount of stuff. And is that just like our consciousness is going, it's one moment and it's the next? And so all that's contained in that one moment? It's all there? Or what?
Yeah, I mean, is the memory like form? Kind of.
How come I can just pull it up like it's there?
Yeah, but this is the same question that they've been asking of how does karma get carried?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've been thinking.
It's similar, like, yeah. And what is memory?
I mean, I could direct my mind and like start thinking about something. You know, you could say, think about when you were 5, and I'll start thinking about it.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
pull them off. You know, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I can't remember where I put my car keys.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
there's a vast amount of things in people's memories, and some people, you know, they get like Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't remember things. And sometimes people like that will have a moment of clarity where they do remember.
Right.
So
And
it's
s-
there, but it's not accessible.
And sometimes you'll see, especially with dementia, they'll remember things from that they knew when they were very young, but they won't remember things from 10 minutes ago. Yeah?
There's a comment online.
Uh-huh.
Spanish nuns in Oaxaca, Mexico, are the first,
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca are the first to sweeten chocolate with honey, cinnamon, and cane sugar, making the drink popular with colonials.
Okay.
That was in 1590.
Yeah.
What, in what year?
1590.
1590.
They were drinking it.
Yeah.
So they found happiness.
Right?
And then the conquistadors showed up.
That's venerable children's past life.
I think 1590, the nuns probably came sort of after the conquistadors,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Did,
I didn't hear of any Incan nuns.
yeah. Be interesting, huh?
They were getting sacrificed in the Incan times.
Yeah, we should look out, see what kind of nuns, or maybe it was just Western European imperialism, that that the original inhabitants already did that, and then the Europeans came in and say we invented it.
From what I heard, the natives had been drinking chocolate without sweetening it.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Yeah.
doing it with hot ceremonial things in
Ah.
Russia.
Uh-huh.
She did say Spanish nuns.
Oh, Spanish nuns, okay, yeah.
Came with the conquistadors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,